But you're not quite the same person. It's right. We'll talk about it after.
Okay.
All right. So, perfect. We were also in Dr. Connolly's classroom, and we did a different app than the last group, but the Bring Your Own Device is really active within her teaching environment and for all the students, so that was really interesting for us to see because we didn't know a lot about it. It was a grade 6 class, just under 30 students in her class. It was pretty large. So they all brought their own devices, as well as she had 3 desktop computers in the classroom and her own personal Chromebook that she brings that the students use quite often.
And it's obvious that when you step into her classroom, technology is a huge part, even though you don't see a lot of technology. Like in the classroom, all the students are on their devices. They're all probably texting because they all have their phones, but they're doing something on there with technology. And when we talked to Dr. Connolly, she really, really loves Bring Your Own Device because she said the learning is ubiquitous. So they have all of their learning right in the palm of their hand or in their lap. So if a student is given an assignment, they can go to grandma's house to do it, or do it in class, go to the library and do it, so they can go anywhere and do their assignment.
It was interesting. We walked into the classroom for this tech assignment thinking that there was no technology in the classroom. There wasn't a smart board, there was a mount for a TV, but there was no TV on it. Just one projector was the only modern technology we could actually see, no document cam, nothing. But then once we saw her start teaching, it was obvious that that was like the main way of communication.
Yeah, we were so excited to bring iPads in. Like, we have access to 17 iPads, we can bring them in. She's like, okay, sure. But we brought them in and nobody used it because everybody has their own device. And there are mostly advantages to bring your own device. Like I said, it's really ubiquitous, the learning. And when the student brings their own device, they're really familiar with that device, so they know how to navigate through it. So if a person brings in a Chromebook, they already know how to use that Chromebook very well. So that's one thing. And then a disadvantage she has is a lot of the kids only had a cell phone. And like the last group said, like some people were doing essays on their phone. That's really difficult and can be a big pain.
You open it within Google Docs, and it's a little extra drop-down menu. So that was a bit of just a technological bump on our side. But it's a speech-to-text or text-to-speech app. So either you can type out whatever you'd like to say and it will read it back to you, or you can speak into a microphone and it records what you say.
And Katie's objective for the lesson was for students to use a microphone on their own device to talk into the device and have it type it out for them. So she said she would really love to use this because it would take less time than typing, and some students would have spelling errors or just grammatical errors that could be changed and improved using this speech-to-text app.
We did an interview with Katie afterwards and asked what the most important thing for this was. And she thought that because of the grammatical and the spelling errors when students are writing with pencil, it slows them down and they kind of lose the track that they're on. So by being able to talk, they can record all of their ideas and have a good flow of information, and then go back in and edit it afterwards. And it takes out, if a student had a learning disability and has issues getting ideas that they can normally speak out onto paper, this allows them to have the exact same opportunities as any other student.
And with this page, I didn't mention this, but the confusion at the start is we were originally scheduled with a different teacher at Monterey, but she was incredibly busy. So a couple weeks later, we got a huge email from Katie saying, "Hey, I want you in our class. I want you to do this." So it was fantastic. So it's a bit of confusion at the start, but Katie was awesome with adapting to that. And another piece of confusion was the different devices that we use. So when we researched the app, we'd have to be kind of mindful of students having the different devices, like I mentioned, like the Chromebooks, the iPads, and the MacBooks, and their own cell phones. But what she wanted us to do was use the computers in the classroom, so they're all using a similar device.
This adapted was a little bit tricky. she originally did want to see if we could use that app on all devices so that if they start something in the classroom just like normal on their bring your own devices, they could take it home. We found out that it's not very cohesive to iPads or iPhones, which this is something that they were really pushing in the school district, that this is a good app to be using. So she was under the impression that it would be no problem, Apple devices, not an issue, and it worked on MacBooks, iPads, not so much.
She's pretty angry. We talked to her yesterday about it. She went to a Google conference this last week.
Yeah, Google Apps for Education was in Oak Bay.
And there was a booth there with Read and Write. And she's like, what the heck? It's not working with iPads. And the guy's like, come to my seminar and pay me money so I can explain everything to you.
She did not go to the seminar. So we had a very we had made a plan about what we wanted to do for our lesson, and we showed up and there was a lot of changes that we had to make when we got there, but it worked well. We worked with 5 or 6 kids at a time because her main concern was having everyone in the room at once trying to record, that the program wouldn't be able to pick up just one student's speech and that it would pick up feedback from other people. So we used time when they were in the computer lab to be between the classroom and the computer lab and do rotations into the classroom with us. And so I was going to keep talking, but I knew it was on a different slide.
So we divided our time with the students into 2 visits. So similarly, like the first visit, like Elizabeth said, they're in the computer lab, and then a small group of students would come in and work on the devices in the school or in the classroom. And the students were really receptive with Read and Write because it's a new thing. It's like, cool, if I say something, it's going to go on the computer. That's amazing. But it didn't really work the best because there are lots of errors. Because some students, like Elizabeth said, Katie's main concern was the noise level in the classroom. So if somebody's talking on their microphone right here and somebody's like where Tessa is, it might pick up Tessa on the microphone. So that was one of the main concerns. And also, it's just a lot of errors. So if you say a word, it'll come out differently. Like say hello, it's like jello or something. So it's just that weird thing like that. So it's a bit stressful with that.
I think we've mostly covered all of the challenges we had. And afterwards we sat down with Dr. Connolly and asked her numerous questions, which was really, really helpful. She's an amazing teacher and integrates technology into her classroom so well. So it was really nice for us to get that perspective.
Thank you. So the one thing I noticed with Read Write is it also reads out. I know people, teachers who used it,
Highlight the text and read it out to you.
and it will read at different paces. Or if you read, it will point where the words, because I know they've used it as a teaching tool.
Yeah.
So as you read, it will identify the word as you're reading it out.
And it also makes suggestions for the words in the sentence, and it also translates words too.
Oh, cool.
Could you manipulate the app at all so that when you need to do a student's list or stutter or stammer, that it could like
We didn't see any modifications. I know I've worked with different ones and you can like go in and change, like if you say period, it gives a period, for instance. The students had a lot of fun trying to figure out punctuation. So if you said the word period really quickly, it put a period. But if you said it slowly, it wrote the word period. So that was a little bit of a challenge also.
Some students were like, oh my god, this is awful. And some students were like, oh, this is so funny. It's like doing something
It's like Laura.
Yeah.
Did you hear at all about how the parents felt about bringing their own device? They liked that aspect, or were they negative?
Dr. Connolly mentioned something about that, how, like, again, what I said, all students had a device, so they're really receptive to it, so they provided their children with a device.
Dr. Connolly mentioned that a few didn't have devices in the very beginning, and that some teachers had come, some parents had come in to talk to her, being like, I know this is going to be a big part of your classroom, I want my children to be involved, what kind of device will help them best? And she suggests Chromebooks.
Chromebooks.
She really loves Chromebooks.
Because they already have all the Google apps.
Yeah.
More affordable.
Great. Thank you.